I am you from the future. There's no time to explain. Follow me to— Oh, Christ! Ah!
Hey, what's happening everyone? I am Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to provide you with my review for No Time to Explain. And to give you guys an idea of what the game is about, it is pretty much a comedy platformer where you chase your future self through time and alternate realities, and of course going through different time paradoxes. And that's pretty much about it. So it's basically a simple game where you face different challenges where you're going from point A to point B. Now, going over the visual aspect of this game, even though the graphics may have a simple design to it, but overall everything about this game looked really good. And of course, depending on the level that you're at the time, either you have a bright and colorful land or you have some dark, creepy environments. And of course, with the traps that are along the way, just everything about it looked really good, especially during the boss fights, the animation, just everything was nice and clean and really enjoyable with no lag issue. Now, going over the gameplay pretty much has a simple concept, and it's really easy to understand for advanced or new players alike. And pretty much you're going to be using the stuff that is at your disposal, such as the different weapons and or abilities, and you're going to be working your way through the different challenges that this game has to offer. At first it starts off relatively easy, but the more you progress you end up facing boss fights and of course challenging levels. So pretty much the different weapons that you have here is kind of like this jetpack beam cannon, if you will, which is going to allow you to hover over spikes and of course to maneuver around different obstacles. Later on you get access to like the shotgun weapon that boosts your character to different locations, and of course eventually there's going to be one point in the game where you actually get to use the combination of the two for the harder challenges, which was actually quite unique and really enjoyable, even at times where you may have an ability to stick on walls, but all of which is actually really good, and it was well thought out with all the level design that this game is offering. But again, the gameplay is relatively simple and the objective is going from point A to point B, along with some boss fights in the end. Now, going over the sound aspect of the game, this game does offer a really nice soundtrack, but there's only one small issue with this, is that if you end up finding yourself stuck on a particular level, rather than the soundtrack switching to another track, it's going to keep repeating that same track line that's on that level over and over again. Again, that's only a slight issue, and that's if you happen to get stuck on a level. I only had that happen at least a couple times, but none of which was that big of an issue. But if it is for you, just do keep that in mind. And of course the voice acting, which is not a whole lot because you pretty much have yourself and of course future versions of you, the voice actor did a good job, and of course presenting the humor when it needs to be had. Now, going over the game's lifespan, it really depends on the person. For example, for me, I played games that are similar to this, so the overall storyline took me less than 3 hours to complete, and the boss fights were relatively easy. But for a new player, it might take them up to 5 to 6 hours to complete the overall game. And this game does offer collectibles such as the 60 hats that you can get, which is a challenge of its own. So getting the hats is actually going to be a lot more difficult than just beating the game on its own. And I was a bit worried that the game's lifespan was just going to be, just the collectible hats, but thankfully this game does offer a level editing tool. That is right, you can create your own levels, share them on the community, and download what other people have created, so thus now you have a game that has a huge lifespan rather than a relatively short one, which is great to see something like this. So if you like games like this and you like community created levels, then you're going to find that the community is going to offer a lot more replayability than what is already here within the game, which is great to have for something like this. As for the innovation, was there anything new here? Was this something that we already seen before? The innovation in which I'm about to list are the changes that they've made from its original release onto the remastered edition, and it's the following: full controller support, which is what I use for the PC version of the game, definitely helps out a lot. Local multiplayer, so you can play this game with a friend or 3. Next, you have reworked and redesigned boss fights, actual hardware acceleration, and reworked OST. So all these changes that they made from its original work is basically what they wanted the game to originally be, and I'm glad to see that they finally got to make the game they actually wanted. And of course, best of all, if you already have this game from its original release, you're getting a free upgrade to the remastered edition. But everything about this game is really enjoyable. I'm glad that they have a level design tool on there to increase the replayability of the game, even though the game itself had a bit of a humor, which I got a chuckle here and there, and the level design was relatively easy, especially the boss fights. There's actually one boss fight I had to face. Even though the game wasn't that challenging, but the game was really enjoyable and it's very inexpensive. But in the end, I'm going to give No Time to Explain a 9 out of 10. Definitely check it out. But until then, I am Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com. If you guys want to see my full walkthrough or the boss fights individually, you guys can find that on my channel. So stay tuned for my next review.